I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Mushoku Tensei, Season 2, Episode 11, It's a Girl. Rudy has discovered, upon happenstance, that Silent Fitz is a girl.
In fact, a woman.
Now, will that next discovery happen this episode? I mean, it's another drop in the bucket of evidence to point to who it really is. If the show loves me, it will be revealed this episode. If the show is bigger than me and has its own story to tell and cares about itself, then it might not.
I'm so glad you phrased it that way.
Yeah.
I feel like this show, Mushoku Tensei, has so much to offer that I could never even guess or expect. Though at the moment, the pit in my stomach, from last episode, I think it's been ramping up this fear that has been growing inside of me. I think that it is definitely a bigger beast now after last episode.
Yeah, we got the revelation, I guess, of this a disguise ability that is able to be used and has been used, I guess, in the past bit. We also were given like a little bit of everything last episode in terms of interactions in between characters, which sets this episode up in such an interesting direction because I have no clue where we're headed.
I find that to be evidence of a bad sign.
Unsettling?
Yes.
All right, you ready?
I guess.
Sweet.
Fair. It's love. These are questions I don't have the answer to.
Maybe Luke does.
He might have heard about yesterday.
This song came on in the car the other day, and I was so happy.
So are we seeing her telling them? Yes!
That's fair. Oh my god.
The tone there.
Whew, I didn't expect her to be so insistent.
She's given Sylvie this long.
Aww.
She's been protecting you. Look at him smiling in the back. She's smiling too.
Okay.
And he was here the whole time! No, I'm kidding.
I love Luke.
Luke's very protective of both of them.
Luke is such an underrated character. I love that they're planning this. He must have.
Ooh. That's some plotting right there.
Interesting music.
So now we're gonna stage Fitz getting bullied. You're skipping locations.
That tracks. Luke.
Ariel's trying to be so kind. So these are two things we
Good
can't
transition.
replicate.
Okay.
Fair question. Answer.
Luke, oh my god, Ariel.
She's like thought about this.
Oh my god. Oh. I'm scared that line was said.
Interesting. Like, tell him or never see him again. I'm a little nervous for this plan.
Reminds me of something Bisky said to Killua. The gang. Look at body. I don't know what it is, but Zenoba can handle it. I'm nervous. Oh my god. Is that foreshadowing?
I know.
Ah. That's true.
He's like, anything for my love.
You can see, like, Rudy's intention by, like, which things he offered up first, though. He was very smart about it. Love Sophie's jacket. I'm nervous. I'm really nervous.
I bet he'd do it for a kiss.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh, that's so
nice.
cool.
Look how deep.
Uh-oh.
Can she even look out for the threats? The snow's pretty high.
But also, she might be distracted.
This is pretty dangerous then.
Yeah.
Both of them are distracted. Is this a part of the plan?
I just love the buckle around it.
太さの方は。太いね。ことを想定してたのかな。僕が成長した後のことを想定していたのでしょう。よし、とりあえず作戦続行だと。
What do we do?
大丈夫かな。
Ring similar to Nanahoshi.
Rain?
よし、うまくいってる。すぐに散らしますので。やばい、ルディに教わったように
Oh no.
水分を雲に落とす。申し訳ありません、フィッツ先輩。いいんだよ。僕が杖を返してなかったせいだね。ルディに本気を出させないために杖を借りたけど、役に立ってよかった。降ってきたものはしょうがありません。この先に洞窟があったはずです。しましょう。そうだね。
Everything's going too according to what I assume is the plan, you know? I love the footprints.
あそこですね。
There's gonna be like candles already lit. Bodyguardy's gonna be in there waiting on them.
Like serving them drinks.
Yeah.
俺を雇ったフィッツ先輩の様子はおかしかった。雨が降るにしても雲の動きが速すぎ、誰かが魔術を使っていた可能性がある。お前はこれに気づいているのだろうか。
He's worried that someone is sabotaging them.
顔には緊張がうかがえるぐらいの妨害は想定内ということだろうか。
Oh my god.
They're both separately doing a lot of
ひとま
thinking.
ずこれで OK だな。さすがにフィッツ先輩の前で脱ぎ去るわけにもいくまいが。
Oh, is this
She
the
wants
plan?
Rudy to do it, right?
Is this the plan?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's the
it
same
makes
thing.
so much sense.
フィッツ先輩。何かな。エルフは別の種族に肌を見られることを禁忌とする。僕は後ろを向いて目をつむりますので、術を使って服を乾かしてください。
I don't think she wants you to be that respectful right now.
フィッツ先輩。個室でも作りましょうか。
So cool
He
that he
could
can
literally
even
do
do
it.
that. Yeah.
室から出ていく。そうしましょう。それがいい。待ってよ。風邪ひきますよ。そうだね。
I'm freaking out
Me
internally.
too.
脱がないと危ないですよ。気温が下がると人は死ぬんですから。死んじゃうね。このままだと自分じゃ脱げないんだ。
The glasses are so much more opaque here.
実はですね、僕はフィッツ先輩が女だと知ってるんですよ。でも脱がせてくれないと僕死んじゃうかもしれないね。
この赤く染まる耳、どこかで見たことはなかったか。昔こんなことがあった。
Your plan might be
頃
working.
だったか。確かにあった。
Those are cute undergarments, I gotta say.
まだ一つ残ってるよ。
What a shot.
The glasses?
フィッツ先輩。何？ルディ。もしかして。
Please. Oh my god, please.
シルフィエットというのではないでしょうか。そう、僕はシルフィエット。
Is this a dream?
シルフィエットです。言えた。
あの時と似ていた。彼女は相変わらず泣きました。
僕ずっと待ってたんだ。ずっと頑張ってたんだよ。昔からずっとレディが好きでした。もっと好きです。もう離れないでください。
Oh, that's a scary
一緒に
line.
いたいです。
That's also a scary line. Those are bad lines. They're great lines, but they're bad.
Okay, that was Mushoku Tensei, Season 2, Episode 11.
11.
So,
Yeah.
it
So.
seems like you're in a position where you feel like this is a lead up to a vulnerable
bad
position
omen.
where something bad could happen.
Yes.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm like so taken aback that it actually happened that like I thought I was so fearful that there was going to be a gag or like are
He might
you
not recognize
are
her
you
there?
Mrs. Fitz or Misfits, you know, like not like I just didn't think that it would actually happen.
Right.
And the fact that it did, I am like my mind's kind of blown at the moment.
I guess I had been working myself up to the idea that once we got confirmation that Fitz was a woman, that we never would actually get the confirmation it was Sylphie unless it was Imor in it. I'm actually Sylphie! As they're getting like ripped away from each other by some type of phenomena or war or horrible situation. So to get this here, my impending doom feeling has not subsided at all.
Yeah.
Especially, there's like certain lines that are just really powerful to really tear you up inside because they're so romantic and they're so strong, but they really also hit you where you already have that impending doom feeling because you're like, things in this story haven't necessarily gone amazingly for Rudy. We've had a lot of people kind of getting ripped out of our lives for one reason or another. And I feel like it might be too good to be true to come out of the cave unharmed. Maybe we're like boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, that feels too pleasant.
Like you're like trying to prepare yourself for some horrifying thing to happen.
Yeah, I am. I also would be scared that in this cave setting, you know, in this romantic setting that's happening here, obviously we know that Rudy in the past had feelings for Sylphie, but also now has feelings for Sylphie, and that Sylphie has feelings for Rudy, so they might do something about those feelings in this cave setting. But what does that remind me of? Eris. What does that remind me of? Someone saying I love you and then leaving him.
Yeah.
And so like maybe this is here to be like, here's a person that loves him that won't leave. And like that's very like comforting and satisfying. Like this is a person who's loved him this whole time. But also I know the show and there are other plot lines that are also incredibly important to the story, like not what we're doing with Nanahoshi and Ariel's situation. There are a lot of really heavy subject matter going on in this because it's a world. It's not just a focused in story on a romance.
Yeah.
It's a world with a lot of moving parts that they're both involved in. And I'm like, I don't think we can have a beautiful, happy school time romance. I don't think that's like possible.
Yeah. I don't know if it did go the route of like continuing like it down this road without any bad thing happening. I don't think it necessarily has to result in some like school romance, right? Mm-hmm. There are other options on the table. There are adventures together in the future. There are like what if Rudy and Sylphie went out on their own now? What if, you know, we were assigned a mission by Princess Ariel?
I think you're right there. You're going in a good direction because Ariel says the line earlier on in the episode about, you know, remember, we're trying to like bring Rudy into our like camp and try to, you know, hopefully get him on our side.
Yeah.
So that is then reminding us that Ariel is trying to collect strong people to her side, and therefore one day is going to want to use the help of those strong people in order to win back her throne.
I wonder in similar stories, I could see a route going like a character route blossoming in a bad way of like, oh, were you just unveiling this to me and getting closer to me now to help out Ariel's camp, you know? but that doesn't really feel like the route we're going, nor the story that they're telling. But I don't know. I think that there are a few interesting choices that were made in the way that we were told of the second half of this episode that makes us have more questions than answers right now. I think that it was a very, very cool and interesting choice to give us this entire second half of the episode from Sylphie's point of view. Like, we're not. I think that one of the reasons why that, like, I couldn't believe that it was real is in these moments, typically, it's all met with internal monologue from Rudy, and it was all flipped here. It was all Sylphie. It was all her plan, why she's going to be creating the clouds. We got a little bit in Rudy's, like, I wonder if she's thinking about that somebody could have been doing this. But, like, the whole revelation of, like, I can imagine it in my head of, like, Rudy being like, oh my god, it does remind me of it, and we were getting a little bit of it, but then, like, like, any shock, anything along those lines, I loved that it was flipped, and we didn't get it that way, because it also leaves me with, like, I'm reluctant to 100% assume that I know exactly how Rudy's feeling right now.
So I think that is really interesting, because as he was undressing her, I was expecting those kind of previous thoughts we've had in moments of intimacy that he's had, where he, in his head, is thinking things in a rather crude way, just really excitable way.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any of that internal monologue from him of being like, ooh, I can't, I can't believe she's letting me do this. Do I continue to do it? He's always, like, in his head, like, do I do it? Do I not do it?
Yeah.
As he was, like, turning away, like, and coming up, like, I'll make you a room. All of these different things. Normally we'd be hearing him be like, do I take this opportunity? Do I do it? Like, is she totally okay with that? But to not get any of it, there was such, like, it almost, what it painted the whole scene as is, and especially with what dialogue we actually do get from him internally at the end of it, about, like, recognizing that she's still, like, the crybaby that she always was, kind of thing. There's such a tender and, like, comforting energy, and I wonder if that's because we don't get Rudy's inner monologue. But you're right, like, we don't necessarily, maybe it is trying to tell us we don't necessarily always know what he's going to be thinking.
Yeah.
That this might be a different situation.
I like, again, okay, so next episode, it could open up with, like, the whole situation playing out and we get a more detailed monologue of what Rudy's thinking. That's a possibility. But if that isn't the case, and I'm running with this is, like, how the interaction went down, then the idea that I'm really loving is how they're portraying, like, this blurriness of memory. I think in a lot of anime and then a lot of TV and how viewers look at TV, it's like, oh, if I saw it happen early on in this fictional character's life, and then later down their life, it's brought up again, I remember it, so they should of course remember it, like, right off the bat. But these characters have a lot of depth into them, and a lot of they do their best to make them living and breathing, And because of that, it's not like, oh, I know exactly. It's like you're like you're like inserting yourself into this memory via Sylphie's intention, but it's like this slow build-up realization that I really like, that feels a little bit more realistic and appreciated than something like, oh, I knew it,
Yeah. Sylphie's an interesting character to have interacting with Rudy again. Like, Sylphie is an interesting character to have interacting with Rudy again. With him knowing it's Sylphie, because of the fact that Sylphie was around in Rudy's life before Rudy kind of became the Rudy that we know now, or even maybe the Rudy that Eris knew. That was a Rudy that was still kind of on this line between, am I really here, or I'm playing this game? Am I taking advantage of this life? The mindset was still very different than I think that it is now.
Yeah.
And in how he views the world, and how he views himself in the world, and the people in it, and the care that he gives to people now. Like, I think Nanahoshi is being used to show us, especially before we meet Sylphie again, just how much Rudy actually has come to feel like this is his world and this is his life and these are the people that he cares about and loves and wants to protect.
Yeah, I think if Rudy never evolved, like, in terms of mentality and inner progression, then something we could have seen here is, like, him offering to turn away from Sylphie, and then in the far corner, he has already used magic to summon a mirror, or, like, a puddle of water to have a reflection to see what's going on. But as we've learned in the last couple episodes, like, it's love, right? It's more than just that, like, perverted, like, attraction that's more shallow.
Right, like when we get the fact that he's decided, Luke comes to confront him in this episode about, like, whether or not he's going to be keeping this a secret. And Rudy, he's almost like, as he's running away, he has almost this emotional face to him as he's running away. And prior, in some other Rudy mindset, we might have gotten him leveraging inside his head, well, if I dangle this, I know their secret in front of them, then I can get something out of this.
Yeah.
This Rudy is like, I think I feel love for this person, so I'm going to protect them.
Yeah.
We are not getting any internal monologue of any, like, trickery, nefarious planning. I can get something out of this. I can take advantage of this situation. We're not getting any of that. We're getting, like, just the fact that he has, like, sincere feelings for this person that he didn't even know was a woman at first.
Yeah. I really liked, like, going back to what I said a couple minutes ago about that, like, blurriness of memory over the years. I really appreciated Sylphie's recounting of these memories to Ariel and Luke, because it's like, I don't know, I like how blurry it is. I like how vague it is.
They were like 4 and 5.
Yeah.
It would be.
And how Sylphie, like, romanticizes them so heavily, which causes her not to really think about the depths of her responses and what they mean. Sylphie is, like, had to portray a certain type of character and sense of self to not be, you know, found out by anybody while she's been guarding Ariel. So it's like that compared to how, like, blunt and oblivious she is about the previous interaction with Rudy and what, like, kind of relationship she would want with him in the future.
You know what it's being given to us? We're seeing Sylphie with this vagueness of childhood memory. I think what it's also doing is reminding us of previous lines we've had from Rudy, that the older he gets in this world, the further away he gets from his past life in terms of memories of it, and then memories of himself as a childhood. Like, he is literally progressing in this world as a 16-year-old boy now at this point. That, of course, he would have faded memories of his childhood. That he's almost like rewriting the brain. Like, the things that are stored there are all of this world now, basically. Except for little hints and nudges of trauma that is, like, in the back.
So, just to be, like, fun with how we're interpreting the situation and then thinking about what's going to happen going forward, just to, like, be fun with it, because we have obvious assumptions at what could happen with Sylphie and Rudy going forward. Is there anything, not saying I believe it or think it might happen, is there any, what would happen if Rudy for some reason felt different now? Like after realizing it was Sylphie, is there any route that we could go forward with that, like, Rudy doesn't necessarily want to meet this situation going forward with, okay, let's fix my man and, you know, get together with Sylphie, you know?
That's a really great point to bring up, because this is a character we're being given that there used to be some type of care for, but now probably a more genuine and sincere care for, that Rudy has already been hurt by one person that he had grown into genuine care for.
Yeah.
Like, maybe when he first met Eris, he was still very similar to the boy that Sylphie knew, but by the time he left Eris, he had grown a great deal and he genuinely cared for her, like, deeply. And here we have, and then we had those interactions with Sarah, and it's like, that was just, to him, that was kind of like this girl he kind of just knew. He didn't have, like, love for her, you know, or, like, a deep care for her. And so it would have been easier for him to decide to do something maybe intimately with her. But here we're being presented with intimacy with love involved, which he could be a little bit nervous about that situation. He could be nervous about being left again by someone he genuinely cares about. Like, this is truly facing an Eris situation. This is truly facing it. We're not going to some type of brothel with soul. We are like meeting a person with love involved.
And even with Eris, it was different, right? Like, each of them are so specific and have their own backstory to them that all of them are different. And the only reason I posed the question in the way that I did is because we've had so much evidence, like in season 1 alone, of, again, how real these characters try to portray themselves. And I'm not suggesting that I know the character of Rudy and that's why things could go that route. I'm trying to do the opposite of that. Like, my feeling is that it won't go about this route that will lead to them not, having a positive interaction or them necessarily not being together, because that's what the episode ends with us thinking, that it's going to go forward this way. But in a real life sense, like if I'm imagining who Rudy would be as a person at this moment, being in love and taking that next step is a different first than other firsts that he has taken attempts at. Not just like involving like sex or whatever, but like how his evolution of that perversion has gone. It makes you wonder, like, they could go a decent amount of routes depending on how they want to write Rudy's character going forward.
I think it's also just, I don't know, this whole thing, because I think that it's maybe more causing us to have more discussion and question about it and trying to understand it more and more is because of the fact that we didn't get the same internal monologues as we did in previous intimacy.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do from here, because I don't picture Rudy just immediately getting into a relationship and us having like a school time romance. It could work and it could be fine, obviously, because everything that I've seen ended up being entertaining and great story writing. I'm just like, maybe I'm just too tense and I'm too expecting bad things to happen.
Okay, let's think about it in this way of thinking. If Silent Fitz as an individual is maintained and continues as a character in this world, and that alias is not dropped going forward, if that does not happen, what would happen in terms of progression for Rudy and Sylphie's relationship in terms of being in the school, right? Is it like a secret relationship?
Which could be fun and entertaining.
Is it like you have to act like, you're not a couple, or is it
you're dating Silent Fitz?
Yeah, or is it Silent Fitz starts sitting at the same table as Zenoba and Body Gotti with you, like... Right. Or is it just Sylphie?
That's like, a great question to bring up. Like, I don't know if Ariel was necessarily... I mean, I guess Ariel kind of has dialogue that is reminding Sylphie that Sylphie chose to be by Ariel's side, therefore Sylphie can choose to leave.
And
not be. So it's almost like Ariel's possibly giving Sylphie the option to live as Sylphie.
Yeah.
Here. So Sylphie could decide to keep up with the fit. You're right. There's the secret romance. There's the Sylphie is now Sylphie. And then there is Rudy is dating Silent Fitz.
Yeah. You have to ask, like, in their first, like, conversation about this mission, going into the Forest of Hail, finding the Freeze Fringe. Like, when Rudy's like, I would shoot down any flying fortress for you. We had, like, the entire, like knowledge drop of like Lapis and like what that fortress is like a bit from season 1 that I'm like, it's hard not to parallel that immediately and be like, oh my god, is that foreshadowing for something in the future? Because okay, if I would do anything like that for you.
He's like so ready to do things for her.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, that relationship with Ariel is so close in between Sylphie and her that Sylphie could ask something that's a political favor that's like on a bigger scale like that like to Rudy. I don't know.
I mean, to go with the politics, Rudy does say the line to Luke that he has cast off ties with
affiliation,
his
yeah.
and affiliations with his family. So with the family names that hold power. So he might not want to get involved.
What if he just says like, I can't yet, Sylphie. Like I can't like turn it on right now to turn it off and then come back to this. Like what if it's a way of thinking like I can't be with you yet until like my mission is done here, you know?
He's at a point where he is not ready to settle. He came here, yes, for one goal that he heard would be fixed when he's here.
Yeah.
But there are other things that he
Zenith.
has also decided that he needs to know about. He needs to know what's going to happen with Zenith. He's trying to understand the labyrinths. There are still things that he's trying to figure out. He's also trying to grow stronger and not plateau in his magic, so that he can be the protector that he wants to be and to be as strong in this world. He's still helping Nanahoshi out.
Nanahoshi's a massive question mark because we obviously know that like that Sylphie had weird feelings about how close Nanahoshi and Rudy were, and if Sylphie and Rudy's relationship was to develop, how much of that can be shrouded in secrecy going forward.
Exactly. You know? Like, if you have a genuine relationship with Sylphie being created here, I know that Sylphie lied to you for a very long time, Rudy, obviously, this like 6 months now or so, that you could feel a bit betrayed. And then obviously the trickery of the plan in order to like have you remember who she is.
Yeah.
That, what line do you walk? Because if Rudy wasn't so ashamed of his past life, I don't think it would be as hard a possibility for him to share that with Sylphie if they do start a relationship together eventually, as he's working with Nanahoshi, in order to maybe quell Sylphie's fears and jealousy.
Yeah, like you're being locked away with this girl in her room talking in a language I can't understand.
Yeah.
Like, I need an answer to that. And then it's like, okay, if that progresses and it's like, here's the answer to it. One, is that something Rudy would ever consider doing? And
that's
two,
that's what I said. The possibility, because he's so ashamed of his past, the percentage goes like way down. Like if he was in Nanahoshi's shoes, but then like loves this world, it'd probably be the percentage would be a lot higher that he would tell Sylphie.
But then it's like, do you not tell the truth about it? Because like where's the accountability? Like there's like coming from a perspective that Rudy season 1 might have, it could be thought of like, okay, well, Sylphie will never know what my life was actually like in that world. So I could tell her a partial truth of being reincarnated and then maybe fudge the details of how...
Right, because no one else in this world knows the truth about him other than him. It's not like Nanahoshi...
Man God.
It's not like Nanahoshi can be like, no, actually, this is what he was like, because Nanahoshi doesn't even know.
I will run out of this room screaming if we ever get to like a shallow Hal type of point and Sylphie is able to look at Rudy like Rudy's real body in his previous life. If that ever happens, I don't think I could handle it.
During this discussion, I actually had a major fear theory. So Nanahoshi is trying to get back. Obviously, Rudy's reincarnated, so it's not like he would just, when Nanahoshi goes back, she'll hopefully go back as Nanahoshi.
Yeah.
But we also know that she was summoned here as Nanahoshi, meaning Rudy could accidentally be summoned back to Japan as Rudy.
Yeah.
Would they ever cross back over? Would that ever happen? Like, that'd be wild.
Could somebody from this world... Okay, so, like, as in, Rudy's life is null, right? It's gone. Rudy's previous life is gone. So the life that he lives now is his only one. So if he was ever going back to Japan, it wouldn't be in his old body. It would be in the body
this one.
of
That's what
this,
I'm saying. Like, Rudy in Japan.
With no magic or with magic, Like, I don't know. That's fucking horrifying
That
to
was
think
like
about.
a fear theory I had. Is it Nanahoshi's messing with some serious stuff?
Yeah.
And I don't know if Nanahoshi could be able to control exactly who gets summoned and who gets sent back. There could be an issue with it. There could be a mistake that's made,
Yeah. That'd be terrifying.
What if this whole story is about being able to get a new life
In Japan?
In Japan. And that this is a roundabout way to get there. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I think the inclusion of Nanahoshi and who she is and who she was from episode 1 has turned the entire future of the story in my head upside down.
That's why it's so unsettling to think of having a romance right now. I mean, Rudy has too much going on. Also, would you want to have so close of a romance if you know that you're currently dealing with someone who has dealings with Orsted?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't want them anywhere near someone that has dealings with Orsted.
Or you'd feel like you could protect them more than anybody. You'd want them to be close. I don't know, dude. I love Body Gotti. He's on screen right now, just in the still that we have. He's so fucking cool, dude. Look at him. Look at his arms. Just bursting through. Just like Zenoba's should be. So cool.
Sylphie, you know, what we've gotten here with this school days is, while there's been some weird bringings of, like, friendships, weird creations of friendships on weird notes, like I would say with the Doldia Village girls, that dynamic was definitely built in an odd way.
Yeah, that's fair.
But some of these other friendships, well, I mean, meeting Zenoba was also odd. But anyway, the treatment now, the friendships now, I would say Rudy has some good friendships now, some genuine people that like having him around and talking to him. And Sylphie also has a really great friendship relationship with both Luke and Ariel. Like, during this whole episode, as she's speaking to them, they obviously might not have ever heard her talk the way that she does in certain scenes here, but they seemingly have such care for her that they are taking so much time to hear about her past and come up with a plan together. They were in like
facial
3 different locations throughout the day, hearing stories like, okay, what else do you remember about him? And they were like being really respectful of what she was saying in her stories.
In my headcanon, it was like so heavy for Luke and Ariel to hear this shit that after each story they needed to be like, okay,
we got lunch break.
Yeah, we got to go somewhere else. Give us some time, and then you can tell us.
I'm gonna go to that class.
Yeah.
I also really liked what they did with Sylphie's character, with having her ideas of what she wants with Rudy being like a little bit more like perverted or like intimate.
Yeah.
Like her first thoughts are about like having kids with him.
Yeah.
And how he can be crude, and she's okay with that, and like, you know. Yeah,
so when I was like asking about what if it doesn't work out with them going forward, which is definitely not a very high percentage, but if it doesn't, I would like, that's the scene that stuck out to me, because I was like, okay, she's imagining and thinking about the Rudy that she remembers from being a kid, right? Obviously, they've had a lot of conversations here and she knows that it's Rudy, so things might be different. But when we got the line about the staff that Rudy's using and how it seems like it was made for him to grow into, I was like, there's a lot of growth, you know, from even Rudy as a character. And I wonder how Sylphie, like, obviously we've seen a bit of Sylphie this season, but like, people grow, and sometimes people grow in different directions where they don't end up in the same place that they thought that they might
and that's
be.
What we're seeing is as if we met someone from our childhood and went into that interaction already perceiving them and acting as if they are still that previous person.
Yeah.
Which you definitely get when you have childhood friends that you still interact with, that you definitely have this kind of weird feeling sometimes with them, like, oh no, I'm pretty different now.
Yeah.
Or they'll talk to you or treat you sometimes in a certain way that is more reminiscent of how things were back then.
That's true.
I think that Sylphie probably went into this interaction in the cave thinking it would be a lot quicker. She probably was not thinking that Rudy would not so quickly jump on this opportunity.
Yeah.
To the point where she has to be like, Rudy, I'll die if you don't do this. You know, like she literally has to be like,
yeah,
I'll die. You have to.
I loved how her glasses got more and more opaque as the situation went on, and the more she like undressed, it was like the clarity of who she was becoming more and more clear to Rudy. It was so cool. I'm glad that it was the glasses as the last thing. I think that was that was really well written, I thought. I thought it had to be her shirt, and I was like, please no. Well, if I'm honest, I thought it had to be her panties because that's what it was in the other interaction.
Gotcha.
Right? And
See,
but I that's what I thought it might be. And then I was like,
I'm so glad it wasn't.
yeah.
Because that wasn't like the point.
Yeah.
The point was her to be vulnerable and like semi-recreate a memory and then to unveil. Maybe she thought it would be the panties. She might have thought it would. She might have been surprised it was the glasses that he chose to pick as the one last thing.
Yeah.
To him, that might have been the one last thing that was important.
I feel like in this season especially, we've had a lot of episodes that's time has been divvied up amongst other plot points, and I really appreciate all the attention and time they gave to this this plot point
yeah,
here.
I'm so glad it wasn't broken up into oh yeah, now Rudy's talking to Body Gotti again.
The entire episode was dedicated
people.
to it, and I really appreciated that because pacing wise, it makes a lot more sense to me and it like sticks with me a lot more. Man, I'm pretty scared going forward, but one of the last things I wanted to talk about was like that first ask of Fitz, you know, of going to get the freeze fringe. I fucking loved Rudy's like first two attempts at getting it for them because it's like again, it doesn't seem like it's Rudy just like thinking about himself at all. It's like this person has an issue. I'm going to use all of my knowledge and abilities to think about what's the quickest way to do it. What's a quick and effective way to do it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do it too. Like it's like I just feel like a lot more genuine thought is being, I don't know, exuded from Rudy recently. He also
might not have thought there that Fitz would have ever wanted to go.
Yeah.
Because to him, Fitz is not an adventurer. Fitz is the attendant of a princess.
Yeah.
That is not the type of person who he could probably... In that same last episode, we get that idea of, you know, of someone that is not an adventurer.
Yeah.
Going into adventuring. And so maybe that's this nod here where Rudy's probably immediately thinking of all these adventurers he knows that could do that for them. And he's not thinking that Fitz is even maybe asking to or saying they want to go themselves.
If this was a different kind of show, next episode would be them returning to campus, walking like into the courtyard, and in the courtyard it would be Sarah, Eris, and Roxy, and it would just be like Rudy being like,
confronted
what the fuck
by
do I do?
like,
yeah, I just found out it's Sylphie. Oh my god, these feelings are coming back. Oh fuck.
You know what would make it more awkward and more great? Okay, so it's all of them there, and then sitting on a bench on each other's laps is Cliff and Eloise.
Oh
and
my
they're like,
god.
ooh, double date.
Amazing. Oh, okay. That's all I have.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.